Brought to you by Penguin.
The Quiet Gentleman by Georgette Heyer. Read by James Maccallum. Chapter 1. In the guidebooks, it figured as Stanyon Castle. On the tongues of the villagers, it was the castle. The polite world spoke of it as Stanyon, as it spoke of Woburn and of Chieveley. It was situated in Lincolnshire, not very many miles from Grantham, rather nearer to Stamford, a locality considered, by those who were more interested in the chase than in any particular grandeur of scenery, to be admirable. It had more claim to be called a castle than many another nobleman's seat, a medieval fortress of which various not very interesting records were to be found in the muniment room, now used by Mr. Theodore Frant as an office, had previously stood upon the site, and such portions of the ancient building as had survived the passage of time had been incorporated into the Tudor manor which had succeeded the fortress. Later generations had enlarged and beautified the structure much as their fancies dictated, any difficulty of adding to the mansion being overcome by the designing of another court. The Frant who survived friendship with bluff King Hal scandalised his generation by the lavish use of oak for wainscoting. His grandson, having enjoyed the advantages of travel, built a new wing and embellished the old with gildings and painted ceilings. A later Frant, succumbing to the prevailing fashion, ran riot in the Rococo style, created the Fountain Court, and was prevented only by death from attempting something of a still more grandiose conception. His heir, one of Mr. Walpole's more fervid adherents, reverted to the Gothic, and by the time an unlucky fall at a regular stitcher, when out with the old club, put a period to his career, nowhere in England could have found such massive doors of oak, such ponderous iron latches, so many pointed, narrow windows as at Stanyon. The 6th Earl of St Erth, possibly thinking that his principal seat already sprawled over too much ground, more probably prevented from adding a wing in the Palladian style by the straitened times in which he had the ill fortune to live, contented himself with rebuilding the stables, papering a great many of the rooms, and installing a closed stove in the enormous kitchen. This was declared by an embittered valet to be the only sign of modern civilization in the entire pile, but the head cook, mistrusting modernity, allowed it to be used merely for the boiling of vegetables by one of his underlings, while he himself continued to preside over his furnace, with its antiquated ovens, its huge spits, and its iron cauldrons. Unaccustomed guests, wandering distractedly down ill-lit galleries, discovering stairs that led only to uncharted domestic regions, and arriving, flustered and exhausted, where they had been for long attended, had been known to express astonishment that anyone should choose to live in such a rabbit-warren when he owned 2 other and more convenient country residences. Neither of these, it was true, could boast of great halls, minstrels' galleries, armouries, towers, or moats. On the other hand, no draughts whistled down their passages, no creeping chill arose from damp walls, and their chimneys very rarely smoked. Neither the 6th Earl nor his second wife perceived anything amiss with Stanyon. The Earl, because it was the home of his childhood. His lady, because she had been bred in an even more inconvenient mansion in the bleak north, and would, in any event, have unhesitatingly bartered comfort for pomp had she been offered a choice in the matter. The Earl's first wife had hated Stanyon, but the Earl's first wife, though admittedly a lady of birth and quite remarkable beauty, had proved herself to have been quite unworthy of the high position she was called upon to fill. Before her son was out of leading strings, she ran away with a notorious rake. Her lord, cuckolded, betrayed...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?